Hey travelers, welcome back to The Fifth Encounter, the podcast where we explore the seen and the unseen. Join us weekly, every Tuesday and Saturday, for new episodes into the unknown. Your host for this exploration into the esoteric is John, dabbler of the occult and all things abstract. Be sure to follow us on all our socials to keep up to date with new content drops. And if you like what you're hearing, then do us a favor and hit that like button. It does make a world of difference. And now, let's take that walk onto the edge of the abyss. Hey there. So I wanted to give it a couple days for this Wall Street Journal article to be digested by the public perception before I made a podcast about it. So here we go. These are just my views, and we'll go from there. The Wall Street Journal report exposed how the Pentagon has fueled the UFO myth for decades, using them to cover up classified projects and misdirect the public. Some skeptics would see this as a reason to dismiss the research, but it does go to show how seriously the government has taken these reports. If UFO disinformation was used to mask real military developments, it does suggest that identified UAPs were worthy of attention, enough that the government had to intervene in public perception. If they were entirely nonsense, why would they go to such lengths to manipulate the narrative? The revelation itself should serve as a new era of investigation rather than a discouragement. Discount discouragement, I like that. Not that we know governments have kept information hidden. We should push for true disclosure, not just for military secrets, but for genuinely unexplained phenomenon. It's pretty important. Let's talk about Lou real fast. Lou Elizondo, we all know his name, former Pentagon insider, became one of the most vocal advocates of UFO disclosure. As the head of ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, he worked behind the scenes to push for real government acknowledgement of UAPs. Despite leaving the Pentagon, Elizondo hasn't stopped advocating for serious UFO research. He repeatedly warned that these craft display maneuvers beyond known physics and that the government needs to take the possibility of NHI seriously, non-human intelligence. His efforts helped shift UFOs from conspiracy theory territory to scientific investigation, which is a major win for researchers, at least in my view. Some skeptics argue that Elizondo findings are exaggerated. I can see that. His persistence in demanding transparency suggests there's something worth pursuing. Again, I would agree with that. Even if Pentagon insiders believe the truth is being withheld, we should keep asking questions rather than dismissing the topic entirely. David Grush, another well-known name, he's a former intelligence officer, made shocking claims that the government has been covering up UFOs for decades, and even hinted at NHI biological remains linked to these incidents. His statements before Congress ignited global intrigue and raised questions about how much is truly hidden. Rush did claim that he has spoken with dozens of officials, provided details about secret programs, reinforcing the idea that UFOs are just more than mere speculation. Skeptics, again, dismiss his testimony as lacking evidence, which we can see why. It is worth noting, however, that he risked his reputation and security clearance to make these allegations public. Whether all of Grush's or none of them are accurate, his willingness to push for disclosure suggests that the UFO phenomenon isn't something to be ignored. At the very least, his testimony proved that the government's secrecy on UFOs is worth investigating further. Nick Pope, another well-known name in the UFO field. Another familiar name in the UFO scene is Nick Pope. Nick Pope is a former British Ministry of Defense investigator who spent years analyzing UFO reports and determining whether they pose a security threat or not. While some of these government figures dismiss UFO claims, Pope has maintained and continued to advance and advocate for serious investigation, arguing that the unexplained UAPs deserve attention. Nick Pope himself has worked to debunk false UFO reports, but he also insists that some cases defy conventional explanations. His analysis suggests that a percentage of sightings are credible, potentially indicating advanced technology or even extraterrestrial intelligence. If a government investigator like Pope believes UFO research is still worthwhile, it's a sign that not all sightings can be dismissed as military deception. His expertise and balanced perspective encourage us to keep asking questions rather than blindly accepting skepticism. All right, so where are we at this point? The revelation itself that the Pentagon fueled UFO myths to mislead the public has led some to claim, I should say, that all UFO narratives are government fabrications and false. However, just because disinformation exists doesn't mean every UFO sighting is false and made up. Military cover-ups often have layers. While some UFO sightings were misdirection, others could still be based on genuine, unexplained phenomenon. The key is separating deliberate deception from legitimate cases, rather than assuming anything and everything is a hoax. Instead of discouraging us, the exposure of past disinformation should motivate investigators to search for real truths buried beneath misleading narratives. Now more than ever, we need independent research to sift fact from fiction. Let's talk about Jake Barber real fast. Very popular name in the UAP field these days. Has made extraordinary claims and Skywatch. Awesome. So, as we know, Jake Barber has gained attention for his deep investigative work on the government secrecy and UFO phenomena. His reporting has challenged official narratives, digging into what might still be hidden, which of course it is, right? Unlike mainstream outlets that lean towards, skepticism, Barber's investigations have brought forward leaked documents, unearthing patterns of secrecy and suppression surrounding advanced aerospace technologies and potential anomalous craft. If the investigative journalists continued exposing inconsistencies in the reports, it proves that the search was far from over. The more voices like Barber's push for disclosure, the harder it becomes for government to dismiss the UFO research claim entirely. So with all that said, there's still no answers, right? Despite the Pentagon admitting that some videos depict UAPs, there still isn't an official explanation for these type of craft. Footage from military pilots shows objects. Mm-hmm. Yep, I said that. Objects moving in ways that defy known physics. Instant acceleration, hovering without propulsion, no noise, disappearing within seconds. People argue that these might be glitches or misidentified drones. Military has never fully explained them either. Surprise, surprise. If the Pentagon itself acknowledged these craft as genuine unexplained, then UFO research still holds value, right? As technology improves, we may be able to analyze further sightings with greater precision, bringing the real answers. Tic Tac UFO, another popular thing right now, which is awesome. One of the most famous military cases is the USS Nimitz encounter in 2004, where pilots described seeing a tic-tac-shaped object that moved with physics-defying maneuvers. Even after detailed investigation, no government agency has been able to fully debunk the sighting itself. While some explanations suggest advanced drone technology, remember that, and still going on, others claim the government exceeds known propulsion capabilities. The movement, sorry. Well, I guess it would be government too. If credible military witnesses can't explain what they saw, it does reinforce the idea that not all UFO cases can be dismissed, right? And it's worth pursuing the answers. Internationally, the Pentagon often deflects UFO discussions. Other countries have publicly released their UFO research without pushing skepticism. For example, France, the CNES, and Brazil's official UFO archives openly provide data for scientific study and inquiry. Transparency allows for researchers to evaluate cases objectively without government interference. If other nations see UFO research as valid, then why is the U.S. so secretive? Could American intelligence agencies be withholding information even as global UFO studies move forward? I mean, think about it. The former officials who advocate for disclosure, many former intelligence officers and defense officials have shifted their opinions and stance on UFOs after leaving government positions. Figures like Chris Mellon, Richard Dolan, John Ramirez argue that classified programs may have been studying advanced or non-human technology for a while. They claim that UFO reports were never taken lightly behind closed doors. When people inside the system come forward and demand transparency, it suggests that the UFO secrecy isn't just a conspiracy theory. It suggests that there's something there and it's worth exploring. So, as we know, congressional hearings are part of this too. David Grush, Congress has begun holding hearings about UFO secrecy and potential cover-ups. These hearings have forced intelligence agencies to answer questions publicly, although many responses remain vague. Lawmakers like Senator Kristen Gillibrand have insisted that the truth needs to come out, which I agree with. And it just goes to show that the government's still investigating UFOs. There's something there for sure. There's been a long history of UFO secrecy, no surprise. Going back to Project Blue Book, the U.S. government has spent decades controlling the narrative around sightings. From the 1940s and 50s, pilots and civilians alike reported unexplained craft. But official explanations often blame weather, misperceptions, psychological effects, swamp gas, you name it, geese, whatever. Some documents suggest that even credible cases were dismissed for political reasons. Private research. Government disclosure remains slow, obviously, but private organizations like UFO research institutes and aerospace companies are investigating on their own. NASA, along with Harvard's Galileo project and UAP-focused startups, are working to track anomalies using advanced instruments. Some researchers believe that real answers might come from independent sources rather than waiting from the Pentagon. I agree with that. With more private funding going toward UFO analysis and UAPs, there's reason to believe that the future of discoveries won't rely on government transparency, but hopefully on science and independent researchers themselves. So, are we actually reverse engineering something? A long-standing question in the UFO lore is whether the military has secretly recovered and reversed engineered craft with non-human origins. Some people suggest that breakthroughs in stealth technology, propulsion, and radar evasion, whistleblowers, may have been based on technology from unknown sources. There are people who would dismiss this as classified programs which have historically concealed advanced developments. Even if portions of these claims are true, it doesn't negate the fact that studying UFO phenomena can unlock discoveries beyond what we currently understand. I don't understand what the problem is with opening up this kind of stuff. So, has the strategy backfired? The Pentagon used UFO myths to misdirect spies and the public, but in some ways, this disinformation has fueled more interest rather than suppressing it. By allowing UFO narratives to spread, people became more dedicated to proving whether unexplained craft were truly extraterrestrial or something military. In a way, their deception has backfired, leading to more public scrutiny, I should say. Now that the disinformation strategy is exposed, researchers can refocus on real anomalies instead of government-created narratives. That's why this movement and moment in history is actually an opportunity, not a defeat. So, what do we think so far of this whole thing? I don't know. My view is this. I think that people are gonna people no matter what. There's gonna be deception. There's gonna be lies. You know, I think that we need to remain vigilant, focused, and that we should do what we're going to do as well, which is continue to study the phenomena as we've been doing so, have our experiences, and go from there. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what some newspaper says, right? We've seen this kind of thing before with Roswell and other things in the past, with the UFO phenomenon being debunked by military and the media and so forth. I guess just do what you're gonna do. Like, have fun with it. Still, nothing in these reports is gonna stop you from having your experiences. So I say go for them. Take what you read and what you hear, even from a podcast like myself and others out there, with a grain of salt, and just go with what you know is true for you. Yeah. But hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If you have any questions or comments or want to jump in the discussion, please hit me up on my X and comment below. Thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your day.